All right, looking today, free agent film room at Rasheed Walker, who is, based on age and performance, probably the top of the line tackle in free agency. And I just kind of want to go through whether he's worth that figure, right? And see how he performed. And again, see if there's a worthwhile choice to be made to pay top end money for this guy. I'm talking 50 million guaranteed, maybe 4 years, 80 million total. It's a lot of money. So assortment of clips. I have some clips from last year, this year melted together. Just wanted to look at positives and negatives. So start with some stuff we pulled from last year's a good one-on-one clip with Joey Bosa here off the left side, getting to his anchor spot, right? Good forward lean, good balance, good hand steering right here. And again, just maintain the block. That's something I think as you watch him, again, align left tackle here with Bosa, the extension, the arms fit, right? So he can definitely deliver the punch. You can see how the arm length is a benefit to his process, right? Being able to keep guys off of his chest at times. The problem that he'll have is getting beat late back inside, but when he's at his best and moving at his best, he can shut that down. Good example here of that boom, a good kick step, drop into the spot you need to land to while dealing with an inside move. Obviously nice to have inside help here, but being able to get back underneath Bosa's shoulder pads, right? Stay on, clear out a side so the quarterback can get out and find a completion. Again, here against New Orleans, good patient hands. I think that's Carl Granderson, right? You're going to let him come into you, try to chop that arm down, right? Sort of maintains that arm, does a clean job of keeping that high side pocket sealed, let the football get thrown. So he can do enough. I think, again, that's a short set drop here you'll see, right? Watch him kind of flatten out. It's not a jump set, but it's definitely a short set, not a deep kick step, right? Little thing you'll notice with him that I'm not a huge fan of is the low hands that he will play with sometimes that swing a little bit. The punch isn't exactly immediate. It will swing to get to where it needs to get. He can anchor against some. The good power rushers give him anchor issues, but he can against guys who are not necessarily built for speed. He can anchor fairly well. Now, position blocker in the run game. Think he can do this stuff well. If it requires getting his body to the right spot, as you see here against this, 5 tech or some people label this a 6, getting out, head on the right side to get the turn, getting the hips flayed around, right? So you can surface this right through here, seal the edge. Pretty good job getting to where he needs to get. And that's, it's on the tape enough. It's on the tape enough to feel good about, right? Against a more 4-eye technique here. Jump inside, turn. It's not going to displace people, but he can get to the spot he needs to get to, usually wall off, and do a good enough job. Not a road grader, but a more position-based blocker, as you see there. Against wide zone here on the backside, a really good rep of scooping him out, right? Getting the body turned, getting the position to where you want to be, that you can wall off that backside. Another great example. And again, this is 24 tape, where I think he was a little better in 24 than he was in 25. Now, not dealing with a pure pass rush, we're getting a chip right there. So now we're just mirroring, right? Good enough, maintaining balance, maintaining his positioning. He's going to be able to adequately do it. Now, out in space, right? This is a little counter back, a little wind back counter. See the quarterback exposed, turn back. You get a log. You got to climb to the second level for the mic. It's got to be a flat line. The thing that's impressive here is he's a good enough athlete. Watch him right here. Once he clears the first layer backer, right, then swipe through, flatten out, and run. Mirror him and run. Pretty good rep. He's got a lot of these. There's enough here to feel optimistic about. Again, dealing with the chip, getting a little bit of that pushback, but a good enough sustain. He won't fold to everybody against this stuff, right? I think he does a good enough job maintaining an anchor. It's not an elite anchor, but he can anchor against guys who don't have a great pass rush power plan. Left tackle again here, working this exchange, right? Pretty clean pass off on this tackle NTX stunt. Good job. Maintain mirror, right? Get that arm extended. Punch again, that secondary punch. Boom, and then boom again, right? We like it. Some good stuff in here, right? Kick slide. It's a good throw by. See, that right arm's got to get up underneath the shoulder pad. Boom. Throw him out. Nice job. So he's got that. I mean, these are elements that I think he can fairly do. Again, on the backside, doing a nice job here. Taking care of the front side layer, right? We know we're booting back off of this, so we're going to turn him, throw him, take care of the man at the point of contact, do your job. It's nice to have wide receivers that open. That certainly helps, right? But a good job there knowing concept-wise where we're going. Now, again, front side, walled off. Give your back a clear pathway. Is he going to be able to bounce, kick, or is he got to bend it back? Good job setting it. He's, again, not going to drive people out. Not a power blocking label for me. More of a, I would say, an agile label is probably the best way to label him. But again, encouraging stuff here from a baseline perspective of what he can do. All right, more clips now from this year, and especially wanted to watch some of his clips against the Browns and show you some struggles he had because he did not play very well in this game in particular. And again, he's always at left tackle. He's always 63 over here. All right, so find the left tackle, you'll find him. So these are sacks that he was given credit for. Jumping out, right, against this look. The edge is inside, doesn't do a very good job of closing that gap down, accounted for that pressure. Isaiah McGuire against him here. Just a straight bull rush. You can see how there can be some pressures allowed where that pocket collapses a little bit, right? If guys get up under his chest plate, he gets too vertical, it can cause him a problem. Again, left tackle here, inside the tight end. Dealing with, again, now this is Malik Collins, kind of getting up under him. It's not bad at all, but you can see where if guys get up under him leverage-wise, it's going to be a problem. Same with Miles here. This is actually a pretty good job of dealing with this Euro step, right? Not totally whiffing. Now you're definitely in a bad, vulnerable position, but that's against one of the league's premier pass rushers. That's going to happen, especially when that Euro step happens. He's trying to throw you by. Occasionally, that's going to be the result that you get, right? Again, back to left tackle here. See if we can get this to time up perfectly. Not a very good, I think, body posture on this one is too far deep in the heels. And when that happens, you can get long-armed back into the quarterback. I noticed more on this 25 tape, just kind of deeper into the heels of the anchor where he couldn't really do a good enough job of setting that anchor point. Again, left side, just beat inside. This is the famous lookout yell where you know, again, Miles can teleport in the ways others can't, but a good look at like guys who play with that blend of speed and power, he can struggle with those guys at times, right? Can struggle from time to time. And I want to give you every look of his rushes against. Good job there. Do you see that good forward lean in the anchor? The body lean is what we want, so you're not back on your heels against McGuire right there. Good example. This is against Cam Thomas now. Rushing on this side again. Over here. Better forward lean, but still kind of catching this one. See the feet are in the air when he catches the hit. He's not going to punch first. He's not a big punch first guy. He will take, absorb, and try to anchor against those guys. Again, a get rep here against Thomas. A little better. Get some guard help. Right? It's a good example of, again, you want to show him against 95 and then non-freak of nature players. Here against Miles, gets out of the stance quick. Butt down. But again, Miles will displace you. So it's not... It's you got to be careful with it because you're, again, talking about one of the better pass rushers in the league. But this is an example of, like, he will get... It's not an infallible anchor that he has here, right? I think he can get bullied by some of these guys time to time that puts him into a bit of a vulnerable spot, especially since he's not a heavy hands guy, but is good enough athletically to be able to withstand some of those. Here's a good kick step against Miles. Got in space. The inside vulnerability, I think, becomes a thing for him too, where he tends to, in my opinion, punch with the left arm first. And when you are a left arm puncher in these, when he does want to throw a punch, that does leave some inside vulnerability from time to time, right? Something to keep note of. Here he is again. Got to shut off the high side on this. Tight end's supposed to help, but you know, I don't even know that this is really hard, man, because he's turning and running. You need your quarterback to step up and get out, but you also need your left guard not to get absolutely toasted by Aiden Huntington. So there you go, an example. Here against Alex Wright, who is a little bit more of a power only player, right? If that swipe happens on the left, so you'll see again over to the right side of your screen, that swipe knocks down his left arm punch that he prefers. How does he maintain? Good job fighting upfield, turning, getting the hips turned to try to run and pass the quarterback. Left side again here with Miles. Does a good job staying patient against Miles' Euro step here, right? So if you don't have that left arm punched, he can't swipe. So when Miles tries to swipe it, it's all about timing. Does a good job anchoring that timing and dealing with it. Obviously, as you know, Green Bay tried to get plenty of screens out, get the football thrown relatively quickly. Slow down on this one. Not much he can do. Tight ends handling the bulk of that first pressure. Does a good job staying in front. Then there's a quarterback flush out. Here, left side against Cam Thomas again. Good job mirroring him inside, right? The best you can, ball's thrown. Every pass rush rep, you're not really left on an island, right? Job staying on there. Another one against 95. And Miles kind of hitting that outside jab to inside move against 2. This is the interception play. So now we're late in this one, right? This is a good example of that cross chop. There's Miles trying to knock down his left arm. He does a good job, but he can stay on. And again, there you're not going to get called for holding on these too often when your arm is kind of on that chest. Even though it looks like you're grabbing him around the neck, you're on the chest, right? So good example of that. Just giving your guy enough time to run him by. And then one more look. I think this is the last play before they missed their field goal was blocked. Just again, backside of a play action concept. So that's every snap against the Browns I did want to show you. Now let's jump to a little more of his 25 tape. Cowboys film, like we said, left side here. Good example of like the space operation. How do you handle being on that island? See how the hands get real wide? Watch that hands loop down. So when you do this, here's the concern that pops up. Hands wide, big target area. Watch him get drilled. Once you get in that vulnerable spot right here where your arms are outside, he's got inside leverage. Then it's just getting off of your block. The strip sack happens, and it's very easy to see. That's again the hand strike location not good enough consistently. Again, low outside. See that how he's letting the defensive end into his chest plate. Get driven back, not a good place to be. Right? This is just common trend problems on the tape. And again, more so for me in 25 than 24. In space again, who gets leverage, who gets to the spot, chest plate, right? Boom. There's no controlling that rep. No controlling the rep. Left side again here. Gets a chip block before he gets to his man. But again, look at that back lean, like no strike. He's in the vulnerable position. There's no reason right here that this shouldn't be a spot you can land a punch that delivers something meaningful. And then once he gets into that vulnerable spot, does not do very well adjusting, recovering off of it. So there isn't an, oh, I'm beat. How do I recover? How do I get in the right spot anywhere near as consistently as you would like? Again, left side here on an island against a speed rusher who can get inside, right? Upfield threat. Boom, swim inside in a world of trouble. See how out of the stance, panic mode, feet are together, vulnerable spot. Just takes one little hit to get him off of his place. Quarterback pressure. Left side here, handling a twist. We pass it off, but we, again, just lose balance. Knocked off our place. You certainly can't do that, right? Can't dive into people's knees. You're going to get flagged for it. So, again, showing you some of the pressures from this year charted that gave him some trouble. And, again, you can see in this kickster, see how he's to his spot, he's leaning. There's no good position here. That's a lean spot. You're going to just get bullied. Right? Does a good enough job staying on, but the vertical lean, there's nothing you can get in your anchor to do well enough to combat that. But again, give him some credit. He stays on, he fights and gets out of it, right? Back in the Browns tape, dealing with this from the other. I like seeing it from the other side sometimes too. You can see how when he's in this kick step, if he widens out and then doesn't do a good enough job of getting the body right, it's a little too late when he finds that forward lean to deal with the power, and then he's already in the quarterback's lap, right? Keep it moving. Again, now against Miles, a good look at that little inside move where his pass set, his jump. It's definitely a broadening, a widening attempt, and that leaves you inside vulnerable. If you're going to jump, that kick jump is going to be wide. You got to be able to shut off that inside turn. Doesn't do it there. That's a problem, right? See how he likes to get to that wide, so he doesn't like to straight drop. He likes to widen out, try to close it off. But again, look how low the hands are. And he gets up underneath, man. He does not stop guys from getting underneath him consistently enough. This is just more of a common theme of this tape. There's no reason he shouldn't be able to land something right here with power or a snatch trap that gets to see how much forward lean 52 has in this. Knock those arms down, put him into the ground that way. Just too much of that. Just again, he's turned into almost too passive. Little run game tape we got a little bit here from this year. It's a good job walling off this. Some good, some bad in here. I think he's a pretty average tackle overall. I think that there are way worse tackles. Good look at a little pull counter here, guard tackle counter. He's going to climb up to the second level. Good job on that one. I think there are way worse tackles you will find in the league. He would definitely lift the basement of where the Browns are. Good look right here again, just staying on position blocking. Now, again, he is not the type of tackle that's going to come down here on a double team and just displace somebody. He is not bringing that much power with him. That's not coming with him. He's more of a position blocker, a shield guy. Watch him here kind of work to turn the shield, but it's a part of the problem, right? So again, here now on the backside, this is this year's take. Can you get a fight around? Doesn't fight around the way he needs to, right? Doesn't get that head around. And his man is the one who makes the play. Again, left side here, double team or just, an initial double team. Again, just losing his man at the point of attack, right? Not getting up under that left arm, not getting up under there the way you want that left arm 63 here to get up under him. Easily displaced. His man makes the play. Left side again, now on the backside, getting to linebackers, right? He will position block. There is not much power coming with him on the second level. It's not going to be a thing where you're seeing him displace second level linebackers on schemes that are either gap down where he's climbing or zone concepts. So here's a look. If you need him to get out and run, right? You need him to get out and run, be a part of either like a pen pull concept or something of the nature. He can do it. He can do that, right? You see right there, he can do it. The problem for him too often is on concepts that call for him to get to the second level. He doesn't do well enough. Shield. Now this is a good rep here, man. I mean, this is, down block, then turn, then, maneuver him. But again, an idea of playing a little bit, that pad level is a little too high, but does a good job of just turning, shielding, keeping his body in front of that run lane. But when he gets to the second level, too many times, as you'll see here, make contact. And then if you get really good linebackers, they will get off of him easily. See how those hands are wide? He doesn't really bring the hands from tight. His hands will always end up outside the frame. Now, you'll get called for holds on these sometimes because it looks like, again, your arms. See how both of his hands are on the back? This looks like a bear hug. This will get called for holding at times, right? And it's a propensity that he has. The hands aren't heavy, right? Not that kind of heavy. And they don't definitely bring the power you'd like, right? Again, good example of like, hey, can he climb to the second level with speed? Yes. Right? I would definitely label him as an agility-based player. That's where I think he's most comfortable using athleticism to get to spots, right? But he's not going to dislodge anybody here. And at this point, if you're either getting to the backer or you got to go somewhere, just again, kind of in the middle, clogging the hole up on his own. as you can see, just kind of mixed results in the run game, not as consistent as you like. You see, you're supposed to be setting the edge on this one. It's easily displaced when trying to set that edge. Again, we're kind of focusing on run game, and I want to get to some of these clips where you just see him kind of lose his man at the second level in the place he needs to be, right? Can get there, doesn't do a good enough job breaking down or running through. I think that's just a theme that comes up, as you saw right there, where obviously he can position block and do a lot of those things that you like about getting to the second level, but is there always a sort of, that nasty finisher mentality to his process at the second level? And it's not always there. And then some of the position stuff, he'll either get, as we see here, I know there's a little bit of trip up in the feet on this, but just kind of getting completely moved off his spot, right, and displaced and blown back. That stuff will happen. Those physical backers will be able to get to him, even though, again, he does a good job of getting where he needs to get, right? Not a good enough job. Look at the hands. Watch how the hands are low and wide. You just, I don't mind the hands low, but they're too often wide, and the frame doesn't get where it needs to get to match. And we don't get that finish at the second level. Here's a backside of a zone read, right? Well, I understand what he's trying to do. Got to get to your spot. But again, look at the hands wide. See how the hands come around. There's no real punch to that. That's just hand placement, right? He's never really controlling the rep the way you would like to see him control that rep. Getting left tackle here on the backside of his own concept. Same sort of thing, right? This is a little better, a little cleaner. You see how the hands aren't real wide on this one? They're tight. They're a little wide, but it's more punch behind it, more control of the reps. See how he's got his man lifted up on that one instead of the other way around, as we saw too many times, right? Again, off of this zone, wide hands again. Likes to put those hands on the shoulder pads on some of these, which can work for some placement blocks, but is not always going to be as consistent as you like, right? Would definitely prefer for that to be better. Wanted to give you a couple examples of him, obviously at left tackle here, little pin pull concept where he's getting, I just show you the athleticism out into space. And I think this is a pretty good example of what he can do, when you get him into space. I actually think he'd be a really effective move blocker for a lot of teams' systems. So here again, left tackle, this is more of an outside zone turn. Does a good job here of running that edge. It's Jadeveon Clowney running him out of that scheme. Good look at what he can do on those. Not always dominant to the front side, right? And here he is against the Browns, one-on-one with Schlesinger. And this is just a good example of wide hands. He's bear hugging. So he gets into that bear hugging position, right? He finishes him, but he just puts himself into that position where he's going to get called for holding calls. And it's just not the cleanest technique, man. And guys will get off of him. Schlesinger keeps that inside arm free, and he's a part of the tackle. Even though it's a fair block, I mean, he's displacing and moving, right? You can see where those hands and frame, I think, sometimes cause him some issues. Here's a look again, second level, getting him into space. This little concept, right? Just almost a little influence, pin pull influence call where we get the tight end blocking out, and then we need him to run out and get the backer. He's got to get to Devin Bush right here, right? He's got to get flat and get out here. And these moving schemes, he's very comfortable doing them, right? Can be a nice part of those. So good look at it. Listen, he's a fun player. I don't think I trust that he's worth, $20 million a year, but the free agent market is tricky. You look at what some guys total guaranteed dollars. You're talking like Dan Moore is getting that type of money at offensive tackle, right? If you kind of just pin some of the specific guys at the tackle position only, $20 million seems like a lot, but that's kind of where you're going to be on the number. Guys who are getting $20 million APY, Deion Dawkins, Taylor Decker, Ron Stanley. Do I think he's as good as some of those guys? I don't, but the free agent market would probably tell you he is. Would I like him at more of that, like Orlando Brown 16, Walker Little 13.5? I think those are the numbers I'd feel more comfortable at. But I think, again, you're talking guys getting 40, 50 guaranteed million. Dan Moore is just a great example. He was just a free agent last offseason. I think Walker's probably a little bit better. Right? I think he's a little bit better, but he signed an $82 million deal with $50 million in guarantees. That's what you're looking at. Do I think this deal is bad, devastating if the Browns do something like that? No. They need the baseline at tackle to be better, and he's younger than Dan Moore, right? But is he going to be a top-of-the-line player? It's hard to say that. I think he's going to be a very average tackle. So you're paying, just like Dan Moore last year, average tackle player, performer, but you're paying him like one of the better players at the position, period, right? That's what you're paying him like. That's a risk you're going to have to take. The Cole Van Lannon, sort of $17 million, like Jalen Moore, Kansas City, again, Walker Little making 13. Those are the numbers you'd like, but you're probably looking at that 20 million APY number. You just are. These guys don't hit free agency, and they don't hit free agency cheap. And it's certainly tricky. Even right tackles, and understanding he's obviously playing left tackle, right tackle on their own team. Zach Tom, the Packers making 22 on the average. Taylor Moton's making 22 million. Jawan Taylor 20 million. I mean, Brian O'Neill's at 18. Titus Howard's at 18. Those are the numbers that you can expect. That's where he's going to come in at, right? Terrence Steele, same sort of figure at age 29. It's all pretty similar. So that's the number. I don't know that he's worth it necessarily, but I know that free agency demands that. But I also want to be clear. I don't think this is a bad football player. I think that he is capable. I think he's going to lift the performance of the room to an extent. He's going to raise the where they're at right now, but he's not going to be an elite player at the position. I don't see that. But I certainly see a guy who's capable. And if you look at what those guys get paid on the market, that's what he's going to get paid. So the Browns will have to make that choice. I do expect them to be interested, but it's a matter of how far past that 18 to 20 million range it might go. Some teams are, desperate. So, all right, that's it. That's all for today's film room on, let's see here, Rasheed Walker. We have more. I got so many more of these guys' tape getting cut up. So we will get to them. Appreciate you being here. And as we say, go Browns.